Hi everyone, my name is Monica Hernandez King. This is my child observation document um, for early childhood care and education 11-12 for spring 2020. My vision here is to create an environment where children feel safe and happy enough to thrive to their full potential. And in this presentation, we're going to be talking about the developmental areas, just observing six different children for each developmental area and where they are currently in, and all about that. So we're going to move on. And the first developmental area is gross motor. So in this picture, we have a child who looks to be around 4 or 5 years old. She's using all four limbs to climb on an inclined rope net. So all four limbs meaning her arms and her legs. She looks excited, so she looks excited to be able to show how she climbs. She's also excited that someone is interested in being able to take a picture of her. And I also noticed that she is balling up her fists to be able to control her balance, have a little bit more control on that, and also to be able to hold on to the flimsy rope. So the two DELG standards that I noticed is the PDM 5.4A. This is coordinates movements to perform more complex tasks, and PDM 5.4B. This is demonstrates coordination and balance in a variety of activities. So, like I mentioned, she's using her whole body to try to balance and coordinate her movements so that she won't fall. All right, moving on. So here is where we talk about the material and the teaching strategy for moving on to the checklist. So here, because I wasn't able to really talk to the child. These are all pictures. A lot of the checklists are very, they're not filled out to its full potential. So here, I tried to do the best I can. And for a 4-year-old, there wasn't really much that I could fill out according to the picture. The only movement and physical development that they have is hops and stands on one foot. Catches a bounce ball or for more than a couple of times, and also pours cuts the supervisor and mashes on food. So I wasn't going to be able to check any of these because I wasn't able to interview the child myself. Okay, now moving on to fine motor. So in this picture, I saw that the child is a boy. I also saw that based on, the advancedness of the picture, I would assume that he's around 3 to 4 years old. I also saw that he's drawing with a large chunky marker. He's not using his pointer finger yet. He's still using his whole hand, which is his right hand to draw. And it looks like he's trying to draw a person. I'm not trying to assume what he's drawing at this point, but it looks like there's like a couple of hands, maybe that's the head, I'm not sure. So the two gels that I saw is that he uses hand-eye coordination to manipulate smaller objects. So he is, looking at the picture and he's trying to draw something. That's the most important part here. And another one that I saw, another standard, is the PDM 6.3A, which is he refines his graphs to manipulate tools and objects. So he's trying really hard to hold that pencil, that marker. That's the most important part here. We're trying to help those fine motor skills right here. Okay, moving on. So one learning material for fine motor skills, I would definitely make sure to have Play-Doh. Children love Play-Doh. They love to mash it. They love to shape it into things, So here we like to introduce those fine motor skills by, just having that Play-Doh around, having the opportunity to enhance those hands those small muscles. A teaching strategy I would include for fine motor skills is have fine motor activities that interest the children. So, if they're interested in something, I would definitely try to include that with their fine motor skills, especially if they're having a hard time holding a pencil or cutting stuff up. So one example I included was Mother's Day. Since it's coming up, I would encourage making necklaces out of string and small beads. So this means, they could use those fine motor skills to try to put the bead on the string. And our fine motor checklist here, a little bit more that I could see. So I kind of assumed that he could tell stories in the language of communication because he is drawing a picture. So there is, it's not just any kind of scribbling. There is some kind of format to what he's trying to do. So he is trying to tell a story. There's not much in the movement and physical development because a lot of it was, whole body. But I did see that he was trying to draw a person with 2 or 4 body parts, the hands, maybe the head, and he tells you what he thinks is going to happen next in a book. Yeah, so I was mostly trying to interpret that as the picture, whereas, if you ask a child, hey, what is going on in this picture, he will try to tell you that. So that's more of the the thinking part of it. All right, so now we're moving on to the cognitive. And in this picture, the baby girl, she looks to be around 1 year old. She is laying down on her stomach on a blanket outside. She is also looking at a baby book that is made from soft fabric. It also looks to be like one of those books that are like a little crinkly, so it catches her attention. And she is looking down at a picture of a baby tiger. So here I found 2 standards, the CD CP1.0A. She acts on an object to make a pleasing sight, sound, or motion, and CD CP3.0A interacts with a toy or object to understand it. So because she's one like very young, she's an infant. She doesn't really have a lot to move around with the cognitive part, but just the fact that she's interested in this object, that's really what we're going for here. And so the materials I would include for cognitive areas is to have a lot of different materials around, just to get her thinking about it. So this means, having fuzzy bears or having rubber balls, having, all of those different textures so that she can think and touch about it, touch them and just think about it and just, oh, this is how this feels, just things to catch her interest. A teaching strategy I would also use is to constantly have conversations with the children, ask questions about everything. So, hey, what are we doing? A really good example is the whole diapering process. So, hey, I'm gonna change your diaper. This is what I'm doing. I'm taking off your diaper. I'm wiping your butt. Like just letting her get used to the whole conversation part of the process, even though she's not giving much back, just knowing that she's listening, that helps with the cognitive area. So for the cognitive checklist, I did see a couple of things. Um, she explores things in different ways, like shaking, singing, or throwing. So she might not be doing it in the picture, but the book is upside down, so I know that she has been touching the book. Um, she looked at the right picture or thing when it's named, so I'm not sure if it has been named, but she is looking at the book, so she is definitely interested in it. And she starts to use things correctly, so I can see that the book was open, so I know that she was flipping through it, even if it's upside down. I know that she's trying to hold it, which is the most important part here. All right, so the next one is language. So here we have a picture where the boy looks to be around 3 years old. He and the adult lady are showing each other a smiley face by spreading their mouth with both hands, and they are sitting down side by side at a desk with rocks on the table. And here it looks like they're copying each other's movements. So like she showed her a smiley face, she's gonna do the same. And the two DELG standards that I saw here is CLL 3.3B, communicates feelings using nonverbal gestures and communicate and actions. Sorry. So they're communicating, hey, copy me, or hey, we're communicating, we're happy. See, another standard is GLL 1.3A, listens and responds to conversations and group discussions. So it's mostly the first part there, listens and responds to conversations, because I chose this since they are copying each other's movements. It's not that they just sat down and, oh, we're copying each other. There was a conversation that led to that action. Okay, and the material that I would include for language development is having sing-along songs with multiple steps included. So this helps them with that whole, communication process. I've learned that Baby Shark is the best. They want to hear that all the time. So, and it's great because it helps them with those directions and, communication. So they see that like, oh, Baby Shark, and they start doing the hand movements, which is great. And a teaching strategy I would also use is to continue having conversations and making sure to ask open-ended questions as well as cause and effect conversations. For example, he got angry because you hit him. So this means, like this helps them learn how people talk to each other. There's that whole give and take of a conversation. Like, sometimes they don't really understand how to express their feelings, so you need to kind of help them talk it out. That's the whole part of the language aspect here. And, you have to give them those opportunities by asking questions or, hey, what happened? Because a lot of the times they try to be physical with it, but you have to let them know that, no, we can use our words. And the language checklist here is let's see, the social emotional part I saw is when they were trying to copy each other, the copies adults and friends. So, they're copying their smiley faces. The language and communication part I saw was that they follow instructions with 2 or 3 steps. So I saw that as when they were copying the smiley faces, there were instructions to that. It wasn't just, I put my hands in my mouth and that's it. Um, I also saw that he understands words as in, on, or under. So I'm sure that there was a step, like multiple directions, like that came towards, putting my hands in my mouth, and they understand. Okay, they're in my mouth, not on my mouth, or not around my mouth. I also saw that they carry on a conversation using 2 to 3 sentences. So this might not be, this is a kind of a reach because I'm not there and I can't see what they're saying. But, just the fact that they can sit there and, have that interaction with each other shows me that they can actually communicate with each other, which, is more than one sentence at this point, especially from his age. But I'm really just assuming since I'm not able to talk to kids. Okay, so now we're moving on to social emotional. And in this picture, we see around 5 kids, and they're around 5 years old running towards something outside. So the picture's a little cropped, but you do see that there's a kid at the right hand side. And so it's 5 kids. It looks like they're trying to be racing, like they're racing, and they're also trying to hold each other back, so that's what makes me assume that it's a race, that they're trying to get to something first. And even though that they're touching each other, everyone seems to, like, they seem to look like they're having fun. So it's not like they have a problem with someone else touching each other. That's not what's going on here. The 2 standards that I see is SED 1.4C, shows confidence in a range of abilities and the capacity to take on and accomplish new tasks. and SED 5.4b plays cooperatively with a few peers for a sustained period of time. So yeah, the cooperation here is the fact that they're touching each other and they're not, fighting right away. And the confidence part is the fact that they're all having fun, while racing here. Okay, we're gonna move on to the material and the teaching strategy. So the material that I would use is the use of cubbies in the classroom. This will also help them begin to understand the importance of personal space and belonging. So this is very important, just to let them know that, hey, everybody is their own person. We're moving out of that whole egocentrical mindset. So just letting them know, like, hey, everybody has their own stuff, and this is a great way to include that by making sure that they have their own personal place to put their stuff. A teaching strategy I would include is to use activities that emphasize the differences and commonalities that each child has. For example, this can mean including different skin tone color paints, including diverse books. So really just celebrating the cultural differences of each other and, letting them know, like, hey, everyone is different and that's definitely okay. Checklist, excuse me. Okay, so now we're moving on to self-help. And so in this picture, we see this little girl. She's sitting in front of she's standing in front of the sink and looking at herself in the mirror. She looks to be around 3 years old. She has her hands together as if she's washing her hands. And she's also smiling in the mirror. The two standards that I found were PDM 1.3E, attends to personal health needs and self-care needs independently, and PDM 3.3B, demonstrates awareness of his/her own body in relations to others. So this is definitely where, she's washing her hands independently with no one else, helping her. And she's also demonstrating that awareness by looking at herself in the mirror. Okay, so a material that I would use for self-help development is including a lot of self-help books. This means, books that talk about hand washing, books that talk about breathing, books that talk about brushing teeth. So this is very important, so they can know, this is something that everybody does, and a good way to learn lessons as well. And as teaching strategy, I would also use is to listen to the child when it comes to things involving self-help. A lot of the times, we try to force things on them just to, there's not enough time or people don't have patience. So we really should just listen to the child and, they'll let you know, like, hey, I need help, or, hey, no, I want to do this myself. And, just give them those opportunities to be able to, wash their hands or, go to the bathroom on their own time. So the self-help checklist that I saw here is that they copy adults and friends. So she definitely did that because she definitely would have seen someone else wash their hands, and that's how, she learned how to wash her hands, and that's why she's rubbing her hands together like that. Shows a wide range of emotions. She is smiling right now. That's great. So that's an emotion right there. She follows instructions with 2 or 3 steps. So yeah, hand washing definitely involves more than one step. Understands words like in, on, and under. So yeah, she is, not in the sink. She's not over the sink. She understands that you are supposed to stand right in front of the sink. And I also saw that she can work toys like buttons, levers, and moving parts. So I included this more in the sink part, where she has to move the cold water and the hot water lever, so that definitely helps. The checklist, and as well as the materials and the standards. So yeah, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a very good day. Thank you. Bye bye.